Not everyone was made to hear this, and if you've made it this far, it's because there is something in you that has already begun to awaken. Jesus did not speak to everyone in the same way. To the crowds, he offered parables, but to the chosen, he revealed secrets. He taught how to open portals, spiritual portals, portals of consciousness. The most important of them all, the portal of the monad. The monad is the origin of all souls, a divine, indivisible, eternal core. And few are ready to return to it. Jesus recognized these souls. He saw who was ready, and he guided them silently back home. This is not about religion. It's about revelation, about access, about an inner calling that does not fade. If you feel that you don't quite fit in, if you seek a truth that lies beyond the physical world, if you've walked through dark nights and are still standing, perhaps you have been chosen to cross this portal. In the next parts, you will understand the signs, the process, the impact, and the true purpose behind it all. Because the monad is calling its own back. And Jesus left the way open. Only the prepared will see. I am George, and if this message resonates with what you carry within, follow the channel, turn on notifications, and share it with those you feel also carry this frequency. Let's walk together, because this journey is for the few. What is the monad, and why can only the chosen access it? The monad is not a new concept. It is mentioned in Gnostic traditions, in esoteric philosophies, and in essence, in the secret message that Jesus conveyed to his closest disciples. The monad is the absolute source, the original divine core from which all souls were emanated and to which they will one day return. It is the purest state of consciousness. But not all souls are ready for this return. The process is selective, not because God excludes, but because the soul must be prepared. The monad cannot be accessed out of curiosity, vanity, or a desire for control. Only the chosen, those who have been shaped in the fire of inner transformation, can cross that portal. The monad is pure spirit. It is beyond the mind, beyond emotion, beyond the ego. To access it, one must transcend earthly identity. And that is why the path to it requires detachment, surrender, and deep silence. Jesus knew this. He said, "Whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for my sake will find it." That was not just a metaphor. It was spiritual technology. The chosen are those who have already died within, not physically but spiritually. They have lost the false versions of themselves. They have been broken, rejected, deconstructed, and yet they remained. And it is that endurance that makes them worthy. The monad can only receive back what has freed itself from the chains of the world. The institutionalized church tried to conceal this. It replaced the portal of the monad with external practices, empty rituals, systems of control. But the Gnostic texts preserved the secret. In the apocryphal Gospels, it is clear. Jesus taught differently to the chosen. To them, he revealed how to reconnect with the monad, how to access the kingdom of God that is within you. The monad is not accessed by force, but by frequency. It responds to the vibration of surrender, to the sound of the spirit that has fully yielded to its origin. That is why few succeed. Because most are still clinging to fleeting identities, name, career, appearance, status, the opinions of others. The chosen, on the other hand, have already lost all that. They no longer seek to assert themselves. They seek to align themselves. And in that alignment, the portal opens. Sometimes slowly, sometimes with a sudden flash, but always at the right moment. The monad is calling its children back, and that call echoes as restlessness, urgency, dreams, intuitions. If you're feeling this, do not ignore it. The monad does not awaken by chance. It calls only those who are ready. Jesus spoke to the crowds in parables. But to the chosen he revealed the mysteries. Because not everyone was ready, the truth cannot be given to hearts that are not yet able to bear its weight. That's why Jesus reserved the deepest teachings for those who had been prepared through silence, pain, and surrender. But what exactly did he teach? Jesus didn't just heal, preach, or confront. He guided his followers toward awakening. And that awakening involved a practice, entering the state of direct communion with the monad, a state of spiritual fusion with the source. The Gnostics called this crossing the portal. The technique was subtle, yet powerful. It wasn't about magical formulas, but an internal process composed of 3 phases: silence, presence, and surrender. First, silence. Not external silence, but inner silence. Jesus would withdraw to pray alone. It wasn't a common ritual. It was a practice of ceasing the world, of disconnecting from time, from voices, from noise. The portal of the monad requires that everything external be stilled, so the internal can bloom. Then, presence. Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you." He taught his disciples to be completely in the now, free of distractions, free of anxiety about the future, free from the weight of the past, because the monad reveals itself only in the totality of the present moment. Finally, surrender. This is the hardest part. It's not about repeating prayers, but about total yielding. Jesus said, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." That phrase is the key. The monad is accessed when the soul completely surrenders to what is, without resistance, without pride, without fear. In the Gnostic Gospels, Jesus instructs his disciples to practice stillness until thought ceases, to meditate on the space between the eyebrows, to invoke the monad with consciousness, not with empty words. He said, "Remember who you are. You came from the light, and to the light you shall return." This practice was not theoretical, it was experiential. It was the map back to the origin, and that's why so few understood it, because it requires courage. It requires losing everything you think you are. It requires dying before you die, and still remaining. Jesus never promised ease. He promised truth. And the truth is that the portal is available, but it opens only for those who have the courage to cross it. And you? Are you ready? And what happens when the portal of the monad opens? When the portal of the monad opens, something changes forever. It is not an emotion. It is not a shiver. It is not euphoria. It is a silent breaking of the illusion. The veil that separated you from what is real disappears, and what remains is something no language can fully capture. The chosen one enters a state of gnosis, direct, pure knowledge that does not pass through the mind, a certainty that springs from being. In this moment, there is no longer any need for proofs, doctrines, or rituals. Because you become the proof, you become the temple. You don't just believe in God, you reconnect with the source. You see with the eyes of the Spirit. Time loses its grip, fear loses its dominion, death loses its power. Many describe a sensation of expansion, as if they were larger than their bodies, as if they existed everywhere at once. Others speak of light, of a presence, of a silence so deep it seems to contain every answer. This is the monad recognizing you, and you recognizing the monad. It's important to understand, this is not spiritual fantasy. It is a real state of higher consciousness. And when it happens, everything changes within. Outwardly, your life may look the same home, same routine. But inside, you have awakened. And that changes how you move, decide, speak, and feel. When the portal opens, the archons lose their power over you. They can no longer trap you with fear, vanity, guilt, or scarcity. They can no longer manipulate you through anxiety and distraction, because now you know. And those who know can no longer be deceived. It's as if you have stepped out of the matrix. You still see the system, but you're no longer part of it. The opening of the portal also brings clarity of purpose. You begin to see why you are here, who you need to reach, and what you are meant to give to the world. That clarity doesn't come as an external voice, but as an inner impulse, a certainty that pushes you gently but firmly. You can no longer go back to who you were before. And that comes with a price. Because when the portal opens, you carry light. And where there is light, there is exposure. Many around you will not understand the change. Some will distance themselves. Others will try to put you back in your old box. There will be resistance, but the chosen one understands. That's part of it. Because the calling is not for acceptance, it's for transformation. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hidden." When the portal opens, your light can no longer be dimmed, and it begins to illuminate where there is shadow. That light unsettles, but it also draws. Many who are lost, wounded, and confused will feel your presence and come near, not to you, but to what you carry. The portal does not separate you from the world, it repositions you. You don't escape reality. You become divine presence within reality. Where there was despair, you bring direction. Where there was fear, you bring steadiness. Where there was doubt, you offer clarity. Not through speeches, but through frequency. You become a lighthouse. And perhaps the most beautiful part of all, the portal never closes. Once opened, it can be forgotten, neglected, or put to sleep, but never lost. Because now it is part of you. You may silence it for a time, but with just one breath from the monad, it reignites. Because the monad never gives up on its own. The truth is simple and brutal at the same time. Most people are not ready to cross the portal. Not because they are incapable, but because they are afraid. The portal of the monad is not a beautiful place filled with celestial music and mystical visions. It is the deepest mirror of existence. It reveals everything, all that is real and all that is illusion. And for many, that is unbearable. Imagine looking at yourself without filters, without masks, without excuses. Imagine seeing all at once every version of yourself that you created for protection, and realizing that none of them are you. Most people prefer to remain within the illusion, because the truth, though liberating, demands death, not of the body, but of the ego. Jesus knew this. That's why he said, "Whoever wants to come after me, deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me." What he meant was, die to the false self. Face the pain of deconstruction. Only then will you see the kingdom. The portal demands courage to die. Courage to release everything that isn't essential. Courage to lose control. The mind wants formulas. It wants guarantees. It wants logic. But the portal only opens through total surrender. And that surrender looks like madness to those still trapped by control. That's why most can't do it. They try to access it in haste, with spiritual greed, with a desire for power. But the monad does not respond to that. It responds to purity, to truth, to humility, not to performance. Another reason many fail is because they mistake signs for arrival. They feel a shiver, a synchronicity, a moment of peace, and think they've arrived. But they haven't. They're only at the threshold. The portal requires continuity. It requires daily presence. It requires practice. It is a marriage with truth, not a weekend romance. And then there is the terror of dissolution. When the portal begins to open, the ego screams. It feels like it's dying. And in a way, it is. But that's frightening. Many retreat at this point. They prefer to go back to what they know, because no matter how painful the prison, it's familiar. And the ego prefers a familiar prison to an unknown freedom. But the chosen one does not retreat. He feels the fear but crosses anyway. He hears the ego's screams, but does not surrender, because something stronger beats within him. The calling, the recognition that he was born for more, the remembrance that the monad awaits him. And that's why few pass through, because the gate is narrow, but it's not locked. It's open. It just can't be crossed by those still carrying too much weight. The portal is simple, but it is radical. Most people don't want to die to what they've built, but the chosen one understands. It's not about losing. It's about returning. What dissolves was never real. What remains is eternal. And that is what the portal reveals. That's why only those who are ready can bear to cross it. The opening of the portal of the monad does not mark the end of the journey. It begins a new one. A chosen one who crosses the portal will never be the same again. He begins to see with the eyes of the monad, to hear with the ears of the spirit, and to walk with the purpose of heaven. And with that transformation comes an unshakable mission, to become a guide for others who are also ready. Jesus did not come just to be admired. He came to open the way. His mission was to show what is possible, and then to entrust others with the responsibility of continuing the work. That is why he trained, taught, and prepared his disciples. And, as recorded in the apocryphal texts, the deepest instruction was given only to those who were ready. The mission of one who crosses the portal is not to isolate himself, nor to seek spiritual glory. It is to serve silently yet with firmness, as a lighthouse in the darkness. The presence of the chosen begins to generate impact. It is no longer about what he says, but about what he emanates. People feel him, and this awakens within them what was dormant. But here is the detail. The mission will not be easy. To be a lighthouse attracts those who seek light, and also those who want to extinguish it. The chosen one will be tested. There will be spiritual resistance. There will be slander, misunderstanding, rejection, because the presence of someone who is awake unsettles those still living in spiritual sleep. The world is not prepared for intense light, but that is precisely why it is necessary. The chosen also learns to discern who is ready and who is not yet. Jesus said, "Do not throw pearls before swine." That was not contempt. It was spiritual wisdom. Not everyone can bear the truth. And the mission of the chosen is not to force anyone, but to offer presence, to speak when guided, and to serve as a bridge. The mission also involves rebuilding the inner temple of others, not with doctrine, but with presence, not with religion, but with revelation. A chosen one who has awakened learns to listen beyond words. He perceives where the pain is, where the trauma is, where the emptiness is, and he brings the light of the monad into those places, often without the other person rationally understanding what is happening. In addition, this mission includes planting invisible seeds. Sometimes a word you speak may seem to change nothing, but years later, that seed blooms in someone. A gesture, a look, a silence filled with love. All of that becomes part of the mission. Because the chosen does not work with haste. He works with eternity. Another point, those who cross the portal begin to perceive other awakened ones along the path. There is a silent recognition, as if the Spirit were saying, "There is another of us." And even without knowing each other, there is an invisible alliance. The vibrational field aligns. For those who come from the monad, recognize each other, even when the mind does not understand. But perhaps the most important aspect of the mission of the chosen is this: to remain. When everything tries to silence him, divert him, or discourage him, the chosen one remains. He continues to light the flame, even when no one thanks him, because he knows the mission does not come from men. It comes from the source. And that steadfastness, that faithfulness, is what truly transforms. Because the world has already seen many who began and gave up, but few who remain until the end, the Monad honors those who remain. How to live among those who do not see. After crossing the portal and receiving Gnosis, the greatest challenge of the Chosen One is this: to continue living in a world that has not yet awakened. Because the Chosen sees everything differently. He feels the energy of places, perceives the falseness of words, recognizes the emotional prisons of people. And all of this hurts, because in many cases, he must coexist with those who cannot or do not want to see. But there is a secret. The Chosen One was not called to flee from the world, but to dwell in it with consciousness. It is in this contrast that impact happens. Jesus did not hide. He was among sinners, tax collectors, Pharisees, adulterers, the poor and the sick. He did not reject the darkness. He confronted it with light. The Chosen lives this paradox every day. His consciousness vibrates on another frequency, but his body is still here. He must deal with bills, human systems, relationships that do not accompany his transformation. And sometimes, this brings loneliness. The Chosen One feels that no one understands him, that he cannot say everything he knows, that he must remain silent so as not to seem insane. But this loneliness is not punishment. It is preparation. It trains the heart for compassion. It trains the spirit for humility. It trains the soul for silent faithfulness. The Chosen One learns to live among those who do not see, not with superiority, but with love. He understands that he has been there too, that he was once blind, deaf, asleep, and that he only awakened because someone remained with him. That is why he decides to be that presence for others. The Chosen learns to use his frequency as a tool of healing. He becomes the change before asking for change from others. He chooses to be light even when the atmosphere is heavy. He does not try to convert anyone. He simply lives so truthfully that others begin to wonder, what does this person have? And so, slowly, he activates awakening in others. In conclusion, the journey of the Chosen is marked by depth, courage, and purpose. Each step taken along this path is an affirmation that there is something greater guiding us, something invisible and divine that transcends ordinary understanding. The Chosen One does not follow the flow of the crowds. He walks a narrow path, where each challenge and each revelation shape his mission. By opening the portal of the monad, the Chosen transcends the limitations of the ego and reconnects with his true essence. He sees beyond the surface, perceives the connections between everything and everyone, and with that vision, his life becomes dedicated to service, healing, and awakening others. The loneliness that the Chosen often experiences is not a burden, but a preparation. The exclusivity of the experience he lives strengthens him to endure and transform the world around him. What has been learned, experienced, and understood now becomes a key, not only to his own spiritual freedom, but also to the freedom of many. The Chosen One who crosses the portal of the monad is not an isolated island. He is a light, a lighthouse that illuminates the way for those who are ready to awaken, for those who are ready to see beyond the illusion. And while he walks in a world of shadows, his light does not go out. It shines even brighter, attracting those who need healing, clarity, and hope. These signs, These lessons are not meant to be kept to oneself. They are meant to be shared. The chosen carries a spiritual responsibility. It is not about preaching or trying to convince others of an imposed truth, but about living that truth with authenticity and presence, allowing the light to spread organically. The portal of the monad does not open only for him. He becomes a channel, a point of access for those who have not yet found the way. Now, with everything that has been said, I invite you to reflect. Which of the abilities or signs mentioned in this video resonate most deeply with you? What experiences, changes, or challenges have you been living through that might indicate you could be one of the chosen? Have you already crossed a portal, or do you feel that you are being called to cross one? Or perhaps you have already experienced the discomfort of spiritual loneliness, of living among those who do not understand your purpose, yet still feel that you must continue the journey. Share in the comments what this content has awakened in you. Share your own experiences, doubts, or insights. Your story may be the key for someone still searching for answers. And if you feel that this content relates to your journey, don't forget to turn on notifications, follow the channel, and share it with someone you feel might also be a chosen one. Let's continue together on this path of awakening. The road is long, but we are all connected.